Copernicus is formally installed as canon of Frauenburg Cathedral. Ismail I becomes Shah of Persia. Leonardo da Vinci probably starts work on painting the Mona Lisa in Florence. Michelangelo's sculpture of David completed in Florence. The Zhengde Emperor ascends the throne of Ming Dynasty China. Thousands of Jews are tortured and killed by Catholics in Lisbon, Portugal. Alfonso de Albuquerque conquered Hormuz and Muscat, among the other bases in the Persian Gulf. Michelangelo begins painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling in the Holy See of Rome. Portuguese Fidalgo Diego Lopes de Sequeira becomes the first European to reach Malacca. Catherine of Aragon gives birth to her first child, a stillborn daughter. Alfonso de Albuquerque of Portugal conquers Malacca. Francisco Serrao and other shipwrecked sailors, with permission from the Ternate Sultanate, build Fort Tulaco. Portuguese explorer Jorge Alvarez lands on Linton Island in the Pearl River estuary. Georgi Joza led a peasants' revolt against the Kingdom of Hungary. Jura's rhinoceros is cut. The Venetian ghetto is instituted in the Republic of Venice. The Holy Ottoman Army of the Sultan Selim I defeat the Mamluk army in Egypt in the Battle of Rodania. A case of mania breaks out in Strasbourg, in which many people die from constant dancing. Ferdinand Magellan departs from Spain with a fleet of 5 ships to sail westbound to the Spice Islands. The Euphorzais defeat Dilazaks at the Battle of Catlan. Belgrade is captured by the Ottoman army of Suleiman the Magnificent. Ottoman Sultan Suleiman I begins his siege to expel the Knights of St. John in Rhodes. The independence of Sweden from Denmark marks the end of the Kalmar Union. The German Peasants' War starts in the Holy Roman Empire. German and Spanish forces defeat the French army in the Battle of Pavia. The Ottoman army of Sultan Suleiman I defeats the Hungarian army of King Louis II in the Battle of Mohacs. Spanish and German troops led by the Duke of Bourbon sack Rome, marking the end of the High Renaissance. Paracelsus visits Colmar in Alsace. The Treaty of Zaragoza divides the Eastern Hemisphere between the Spanish and Portuguese empires. Martim Afonso de Sousa's expedition sets out for the Americas from Portugal. Christian II's invasion force arrives in Oslo. Francisco Pizarro lands on the northern coast of Peru. King Henry VIII of England formally but secretly marries Anne Boleyn, who becomes his second queen consort. The English Reformation Parliament passes the Act of Supremacy, establishing Henry VIII as supreme head of the Church of England. The conquest of Tunis by Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, begins with the destruction of Barbarossa's fleet. San Pedro Sula is founded by Pedro de Alvarado in Honduras. Recife is founded by the Portuguese in Brazil. A Spanish Phoenician fleet is defeated by the Ottoman Turks at the Battle of Preveza. Henry VIII of England contracts to marry Anne of Cleves. Sher Shah Suri defeats and deposes Mughal Emperor Humayun, establishing the Sur Empire. The Janissaries of Suleiman the Magnificent take Buda by ruse, hiding themselves as visitors. Spanish explorer Ruy López de Villalobos named the island of Samar and later Las Islas Filipinas. Andreas Vesalius publishes on the fabric of the human body. The French defeat an imperial Spanish army at the Battle of Carousel. Gerolamo Cardano publishes quartic function in the book Ars Magna. Siege of Kawago Castle ends in defeat for the Usagi Khan. Grand Duke Ivan IV of Muscovy becomes the first Tsar of Russia. Mary Queen of Scots leaves for France. Salvador da Bahia, Brazil's first capital, is founded by Tome de Sousa. Ultan Khan crosses the Great Wall of China and besieges Beijing. Ottoman Turks and Barbary pirates invade the Mediterranean island of Gozo, enslaving all inhabitants. The Khanate of Kazan falls to troops of Ivan IV of Russia. The Lord Mayor of London proclaims Mary I the rightful queen. A great fire breaks out in Eindhoven, Netherlands. Humayun resumes the role of Mughal Empire. Akbar the Great defeats the Sultan of Bengal at the Second Battle of Panipat. With permission of Ming Dynasty government of China, Portuguese settle in Macau. Elizabeth Tudor becomes Queen Elizabeth I at age 25. France makes the Peace of Cateau Cambrésis with England and Spain, ending the Italian War. St. Lazarus Church is completed in Macau. St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow is finished. French wars of religion between Catholics and Huguenots. Sarsa succeeds his father Menas as Emperor of Ethiopia. The Spanish conquistador Miguel López de Legazpi sails from Mexico. The Battle of Talikota fought between the Hindu kingdom of Vijayanagar and the Deccan sultanates. The Compromise of Nobles is presented to Margaret of Parma. The infamous Stur murders take place at Uppsala Castle in Sweden. The rebellion of Alpujarras against the Castilian crown in the Alpujarra region. Mercator projection is first used in Gerardus Mercator's world map. Ivan the Terrible begins the massacre of Novgorod. The Spanish-led Holy League navy destroys the Ottoman Empire navy at the Battle of Lepanto. Catholics in Paris murder thousands of Protestants in the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. Santa Fe, Argentina is founded by Juan de Garay. The city of Leyden, besieged by the Spanish, is relieved by a sea beggars fleet under Louis Bissau. Oda Nobunaga defeats Takeda Katsuyori in Japan's Battle of Nagashino. English navigator Martin Frobisher sights Greenland. The Great Comet of 1577 is observed from Earth. The Battle of Alisar Kibir in North Africa, where the Moors defeat King Sebastian of Portugal, who is killed. Akbar abolishes jizya. The Lipizan stud is established by Charles II, Archduke of Austria. The English Jesuit Edmund Campion is arrested. Pope Gregory XIII implements the Gregorian calendar. Sir Humphrey Gilbert claims the island of Newfoundland on behalf of England, marking the beginning of the British Empire. The Siege of Antwerp begins. A first group of colonists lands in the New World to create the Roanoke colony on Roanoke Island off the coast of North Carolina. Emperor Go-Yozei ascends the Japanese throne from Ogimachi. Shah Abbas I the Great succeeds as Shah Hanashah of Iran. Bernardino Baldi completes the first biography of Nicolaus Copernicus. Valkendorf's Collegium is founded in Copenhagen, Denmark. Anne of Denmark is crowned Queen Consort of Scotland. Ghazi Garai leads a huge Tartar expedition against Moscow. Trinity College Dublin, Ireland's oldest university, is founded. The Long War breaks out in Hungary between the Habsburgs and the Ottomans. Henry IV enters his capital of Paris for the first time. The probable first performance of William Shakespeare's Richard II in London. Cornelis de Houtman arrives in Banten, the first Dutch sailor to reach Indonesia. Amiens is taken by Spanish forces. The Peace of Vervins ends the war between France and Spain. A Dutch fleet returns to Amsterdam from Indonesia. Michael the Brave becomes ruler of Wallachia, Transylvania, and Moldavia.